When you live with health anxiety, your mind has a way of latching onto every sensation, every ache, every flutter, and spinning it into the worst-case scenario. I know this all too well because it's something I've struggled with for years. It can feel like your brain is constantly scanning for danger, always looking for signs that something is wrong. And when you're trapped in that cycle, you need something that pulls you out, something that gives your mind a healthier place to focus. For me, one of the most effective tools I've discovered is having hobbies. Now, I don't just mean keeping busy. I mean intentionally engaging in activities you enjoy, things that interest you, things that challenge you, things that make time fly by without you even noticing. Science shows that hobbies have powerful effects on both mental and physical health. In fact, researchers have found that people who regularly engage in hobbies report lower levels of stress, better moods, improved brain function, and even reduced risk of serious illnesses. Let's start with stress. Stress is a huge driver of health anxiety. It ramps up your nervous system, floods your body with cortisol, and makes every little symptom feel amplified. But hobbies have been shown to reduce stress hormones and trigger what's called the relaxation response. For example, studies on leisure activities have found that doing something enjoyable lowers blood pressure, slows heart rate, and reduces muscle tension. That's not just feeling better. That's your body physically shifting into a healthier state. Hobbies also give you a sense of control, which is especially important if you feel like your health is out of your control. When you're engaged in something like painting, gardening, or even playing a musical instrument, you're choosing to put your energy into something that brings you joy. That sense of agency, of directing your own time and attention, helps counteract the helplessness that often comes with anxiety. One of the most fascinating things about hobbies is how they affect the brain. When you're deeply engaged in an activity you love, you often enter what's called a flow state. This is when you're so absorbed in what you're doing that you lose track of time. Your inner critic quiets down, and your brain shifts into a rhythm of focus and creativity. Neuroimaging studies show that flow states activate brain regions linked to reward and motivation, while also calming down areas associated with worry and rumination. For someone with health anxiety, that's incredibly valuable because it literally interrupts the mental loops of what-if thinking. Physical hobbies come with even more benefits. If you enjoy dancing, hiking, cycling, or any kind of movement-based activity, you're not only engaging your mind but also giving your body exercise. And exercise is one of the most proven ways to lower anxiety, improve sleep, strengthen the immune system, and reduce the risk of chronic disease. Even gentler hobbies like yoga, tai chi, or walking while birdwatching give you those protective benefits. Research consistently shows that physical activity reduces symptoms of anxiety disorders, including health anxiety, by helping regulate the stress response and balancing neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. Creative hobbies are another powerful category. Activities like drawing, writing, woodworking, knitting, or photography are linked to improved mood and even better physical health markers. For example, a large study published in the Journal of Psychosomatic Medicine found that people who engaged in creative hobbies had lower levels of inflammation in the body. Since inflammation is tied to everything from heart disease to depression, that's a pretty big deal. Plus, creativity has been shown to improve problem-solving and cognitive flexibility, which helps when you're trying to reframe anxious thoughts and look at things from a healthier perspective. If your hobby involves connecting with other people, whether it's joining a sports team, a book club, or even an online community around a shared interest, you're also benefiting from social connection. Loneliness has been linked to higher risks of cardiovascular disease, dementia, and early death. On the flip side, strong social ties act like a buffer against stress and illness. Just spending time with people who share your enthusiasm for something can reduce anxiety and give you a sense of belonging. And here's something that really struck me when I started diving into the research. Hobbies don't just improve how you feel in the moment, they may actually extend your life. Several long-term studies have found that people with meaningful leisure activities have lower mortality rates, even after adjusting for things like income and existing health conditions. One Japanese study on older adults found that having hobbies was associated with significantly reduced risk of death from all causes. That's powerful motivation to keep doing the things you love. Now here's the part that really ties into health anxiety. When you're worried about your health all the time, your mind gets hijacked by hypervigilance. You're constantly scanning for symptoms and you end up reinforcing the anxiety loop. But hobbies can help retrain your attention. Instead of focusing inward on every bodily sensation, you start focusing outward, on building something, learning something, creating something. Over time, this shift in attention helps your brain practice letting go of health worries and investing energy elsewhere. For example, when I'm working on a hobby that I really enjoy, I notice that the sensations in my body fade into the background. The tightness in my chest or the twinge in my stomach isn't at the forefront anymore. And that teaches me an important lesson. Those sensations aren't always dangerous. Sometimes they just need less attention. By practicing hobbies, you're essentially practicing not feeding the anxiety monster. When you live with health anxiety, it can feel like being the sick person or the anxious person becomes your whole identity. But hobbies give you other roles to lean on. You can be the gardener, the musician, the runner, the gamer, the collector. These identities remind you that you're so much more than your symptoms. That mental shift has a real impact on your resilience and your ability to handle anxious moments. Another thing I've learned is that hobbies can be tailored to your specific needs when you're feeling anxious. For example, if your anxiety is running high and your body feels restless, a physical hobby like jogging or even just organizing something in your house can help burn off that nervous energy. If you're feeling more mentally overwhelmed, a calming hobby like reading, painting, or puzzles can bring you back down. And if you're caught in a spiral of what-if thoughts, a social hobby can give you an outside perspective and a reminder that you're not alone. There are even studies showing that hobbies improve sleep, and we know how much sleep impacts both anxiety and physical health. When you're engaged in enjoyable activities during the day, you build up more sleep pressure and reduce bedtime rumination, which makes it easier to fall asleep and stay asleep. Better sleep then lowers your anxiety levels the next day, a positive cycle instead of a negative one. So, how do you actually turn hobbies into a tool for health anxiety? For me, it starts with giving myself permission to enjoy them without guilt. Sometimes anxiety tells you that you shouldn't waste time on something unproductive, but hobbies are actually one of the most productive things you can do for your health. I also try to make them part of my routine, almost like a prescription. Instead of waiting until I'm already anxious, I build in time for hobbies every day, so they act as a preventative measure. It also helps to mix different types of hobbies. I like to have at least one physical, one creative, and one social hobby to rotate between, depending on what I need. That way I'm covering all the bases, moving my body, exercising my brain, and connecting with others. And if one hobby starts feeling stale, I give myself permission to explore a new one. Novelty itself is healthy. Trying something new stimulates dopamine, which helps with motivation and mood. At the end of the day, having hobbies isn't just about passing the time or distracting yourself from anxiety. It's about building a life that feels fuller, richer, and healthier. It's about giving your brain and body consistent opportunities to relax, to grow, and to connect. And for those of us with health anxiety, it's about proving to ourselves that we don't have to live in fear every moment of the day. We can live in curiosity, creativity, and joy too. So if you've been struggling with health anxiety, think about what hobbies light you up, or what hobbies you used to enjoy but let slip away. Maybe it's painting, maybe it's cooking, maybe it's hiking, or maybe it's something you've never tried before. Whatever it is, make space for it. Because every minute you spend on a hobby isn't just a break from your worries, it's an investment in your health, your happiness, and your future.